Hey guys, welcome back for another video. Today we're taking a look at the brand new Carpuride W603 unit. This is a combination dashcam, CarPlay, Android Auto device. We should have a nice widescreen display. Should have the latest and greatest hardware in here. We're going to unbox it real quick, go through what you get. We're going to go out in the garage, install it on my FJR 1300, and then we're going to go through its setup, whatever quirks we find in there, and then we're going to go out on the road for some day and nighttime tests. And here she is, and it is a very nice display. This is funny. It looks exactly like my iPhone 13. I've got a Pro Max, and this is just about exact same size, certainly within a fraction of an inch. So a very nice size display, plenty of screen space. Now what these widescreen CarPlay devices give you is just an extra row of icons on the home page and a wider map for navigation. So they're not going to do anything for the vertical. It doesn't make a huge difference, I find, when you're using CarPlay or something for navigation, because a lot of the information is vertical, but it's nice to have the extra space no matter what. And of course you see the full widescreen version of full screen dashcam videos, which is very nice. Take this out real quick. And here's the device. We have a screen protector on it. Bezels look totally normal. We do have a little sensor down there. I'm assuming that is going to be automatic brightness, which is always a welcome thing. We've got a port on the bottom. This is undoubtedly where the micro SD card is, and maybe an update port. We've got two screws. We'll figure out if those are captured or not when we do the install. It's actually really light compared to other units I've done. It is plastic. Feels fine. There's a tiny bit of texture to it. Doesn't feel solid. Some of the others that were plastic, you would mistake it for metal. But this is no problem at all. There's no flex or anything like that. And of course, I absolutely love to see the RAM ball compatible mounts. Everybody should be doing this. Absolutely love it. And I've been getting some common questions on these from people that have been looking at the different reviews and stuff. One of which is, well, what about security? You know, you're parking this at a hotel for the night or something like that outside. What do you do about it being stolen? And frankly, the only answer is nothing. These are not meant to be quick on and off like detachable head plates on radios from the 90s or anything like that. None of them have quick connect wiring or anything like that. They're all sealed. So it's just meant to be part of the bike. And I would recommend, if you're doing anything like this, mount it where it looks permanent. You know, don't have some janky mount where it looks like a phone just hanging in an X grip or something like that. Yeah, somebody could snag that. But if you've got it mounted and it looks like it's part of the bike, nobody's going to try to rip this off, especially when they see they'd have to cut the wires. I mean, just not a huge concern. But obviously, if it is a concern in your area, none of these types of devices are going to be for you. We've got a serial number sticker on the side there that you could remove if you wish. And that's it. No hard buttons and just that bottom port. And then we have the 4-wire quick connects. We've got a rear, front. Those are the cameras. We've got controller. Now, I saw that this had a remote. I didn't know if it was wired or wireless. It may be wired. That could be what that is for. And then our power dongle. We have a pretty standard power wire adapter here. And okay, that's interesting. Someone accidentally taped the accessory, which they're using red for, with the positive yellow wire. Maybe it's just for shipping. Not sure why this tape is here, but that needs to come off because these are two separate wires. There we go. And then black for your ground. Standard fare there. Aha, and here is the remote. And this is why I wasn't sure, because on the website, it doesn't show this wire. They photoshopped it to just look like this. So it looks like a big, you know, Super Bowl ring or something. There we go. Brass knuckle. Nice enough buttons. They are just plastic. They're not rubber. And I like that there's no coloring to it. It's all black. And we've got two Allen screws in there. I'm imagining there's going to be some ring adapters, so you can put this on your bars if you wish. Maybe some other type of mount for it. I'm not sure. We've got what looks like a home key, a phone, maybe to make or pick up a call, and then what looks like a refresh circle, so I don't know what that is going to be for. I don't typically use these unless there's some function that is only available to the remote, which so far I haven't run into. But I'm mounting these all close enough where they're right in front of me, so I don't need a remote. However, if you mount these devices somewhere way up on your dash where it's not convenient to hit the buttons, remotes can be very important. And then we have half. Let me dig through the rest. Aha! Here's the other half of a metal. Feels like cast aluminum ball mount adapter here. Got an extension for the rear camera. And here's one of the cameras. Unfortunately, the mounts are the cheapest type, just stamped metal where they bend the center tab out to mount. Not a fan of them, but you can modify and put these around other things. And I showed in the Chiggy review how I modified the ring to work with GoPros. However, this is a completely different one. The body looks the same, but the mount looks different. So we'll take a look at all that when I go to put them on the bike. And the second camera, same thing, both 1080p. And I will, when I'm done with a few more of these, start a comprehensive buyer's guide where I'm going to have comparison charts on everything. And you'll be able to compare different units for their features and functions and look things up like the field of view on the cameras and all that kind of good stuff. But there's a lot of stuff that's shared, like they're all waterproof. Some come with cards, some don't. Some have certain features to built-in devices, some don't. So you'll be able to go through all of that shortly. Then we got a bag of tools and ring spacers for mounting 2 bars. And then a big old clamp here. This is where there should be a ball. I don't see a ball. That's all that's in the box, but I'm missing, I think, some hardware. Yeah, there's nothing in here but these adapters. I'm missing the screw and knob for this, and there should be a ball and screw, and that metal is actually not formed right. That hole isn't completely circular in this cast, but there should be a ball and a screw for the other side to connect these. Luckily, I've got my own, and I'm not going to be using a bar mount anyway, but I don't like to see missing hardware, and you guys saw it was completely sealed. I had another unit come in that was clearly used, and they said that customs must have opened it. You know, I'm not there to say, but the bags are all beat up. Clearly stuff was put back in it, and this is obviously, I mean, undoubtedly a factory mistake because there's nothing here. It's completely sealed, and I'm definitely missing stuff. Okay, so anyway, we got the important stuff. I've got my own connectors and I've got my own mount. So luckily I don't need these for the review, but Carpuride, you might want to get with the factory and knock them on the head. All right, let's take it out and get it installed. Before we do that, I'm going to run through this manual real quick. It is typical Chinglish, but luckily I'm not finding these manuals necessary for anything for these basic units. It's supposed to be the ball mount and a screw for that clamp and the hardware for the connector. So definitely missing that. And a little comical, I guess I'm going to have to verify. I think they've just got things screwed up here in the manual. I can't imagine this is the case. They're calling out the functions of those remote buttons. Remember I said one looks like a refresh. They're calling that the cycle button, but the description says it's for answering calls. And then the second one, they're calling a photo button, but it's a phone symbol. And they say press that to power on. It just doesn't make any sense. And then, of course, home button, press to power on. So they're just copying, pasting stuff. Obviously, whoever wrote the manual never actually used the product. We'll figure it out when we actually try to use it. Now you know why I don't even need these manuals. They're not really good for anything. I do, however, like the honesty here. requires the use of a tool to open and insert the TF card. Thank you. It's super annoying. I absolutely hate the design, how inset they put these things for the cards, because you do need at least one screwdriver just to click the card in and out. And they actually say that. So I appreciate that honesty. It's a terrible design, but they're owning it. Now this is a little concerning. They only support, according to this manual at least, so this may not be accurate, only up to 64 gigs. That is tiny for dash cam use. That's not even a full day ride. That's just several hours of loop recording, doing both cameras at 1080. I don't like that at all. 128 absolute minimum is what I suggest for dash cam use. I put in 256 cards if it supports it. Most units support it, so not great to see that. I hope that means the hardware in here isn't old. We'll find out real soon, because it'll be super laggy, especially in navigation, if that's the case. And I was right, we do have auto screen brightness. Very nice to see that. Hopefully it doesn't have any overheating problems. And this particular unit is like many other Chinese produced ones. It's using this third-party app on your phone to download from the unit. Not all units still support this, and it's called Videur. And you can download that from your Play Store or the Apple Store. It's not a Carpuride or any other branded, and it'll say it in the manual if it supports it. Not all dashcam units have this function. And of course, a very fast, easy install. Just put it up on one of my RAM balls. Now you will have to take into account where you're going to be mounting this, because it has very short leads. If you're going to have this somewhere where it's stretched, just bear in mind you're going to have the connectors this close to the unit. At least they're staggered. So I think they kind of took that into consideration. If you need to bend them or something, you don't have all four of them locked in one big group, but still, I would love to see at least another foot on these cables here, allowing you to get those connections somewhere out of sight, underneath, in a panel, something like that. I don't like having these showing. But if you're going to mount this, say, down here, not as big of an issue, because they will be tucked down there. Just bear that in mind. And just to confirm, now that I've unbagged everything, what we're missing, these two bolts here are for the clamp. So we're missing the ball itself. We've got the screw and the bolt to keep it clamped shut, and the screw and the bolt that goes through the center of the ball, if it was there. And then we're missing the nut, bolt, possibly a spring, and the handle for this. This is what it should look like. You've got a bolt and a nut, or at least a bolt and the handle, and there's a spring. Actually, this one's on this side, some are in the middle, but in any case, all that hardware. Well, these mounts are actually worse than I thought. They are extra flimsy. The ones that I don't like, they'll have two of these cutouts, two of these little folded up feet that would connect to the loop around. This only has one. They only did one side, and they're both like that, so it's the design. And then you have to super tighten this bolt and washer in there just to keep that. So you're just gonna have a little bit of tension from the three tabs against each other to prevent it from rocking. It's just a bad design. And now looking at the cameras, they are very similar to the new generation that I've tried, but they are indeed different. They're just a bullet shape. So I don't know how good these are gonna be. We're just gonna find out together. I don't mean to keep harping on this, but this kind of stuff just pisses me off. It's just terrible engineering. This is fully cranked down. This ring is fully tightened around the camera. It cannot tighten anymore. And there's obviously a huge gap in there, because this ring was designed for the type of mounts with two fold-up tabs for that extra thickness. What I'm gonna have to do is find some little washers and make my own spacer in there so I can tighten the ring and actually have it pinch the bracket. It's just garbage. You're gonna have to figure out your own mounting for these. Got it wired into the fuse box. I'll put a link down below to very comprehensive wiring for both putting in the fuse box and wiring in any kind of dash cam system for the FJR 1300. Give you some ideas no matter what you're installing. They also have the pads pre-applied and they do not give you any extras. So if you screw one up, you're SOL. Gotta make your own. Well, I got a solution that I think is going to work if I can ever get this screwed back together. Problem is, once you unscrew this, these spring open and you can see they're at a big wide angle. So you've got these two tiny little cast threads. That's the only thing holding this together. If those cast threads strip, this thing pops open and your camera is gone, just hanging by the wire. But you need to pinch it so far to even line the threads up to get the screw to go through. There's just no length there. But what I've done is put a little nut in there just to act as a spacer. It's slightly larger diameter than the bolt, but it's going to act as a spacer so we can actually get tension between the parts. Now I just have to get this thing started. It's chewing up my fingers. And there we go. It's tight at least. So now I can mount it and have the camera stay wherever I put it. I still have no idea which way to rotate. I'm gonna have to loosen it again when I put it on the bike and connect it because there's no physical indicator of what's up. Rear camera's mounted, front camera's mounted. And before I fire it up, I'm gonna take off this bottom panel, see what's underneath it, and see if we have any card in there. They are not captured screws and they don't give you any spares, so don't lose them. Be very careful taking these out and putting them in. I have to use a little flat blade to get this cover off. Won't even start with my fingernail. It's a very tiny little slot. Man, even that isn't even prying it. It's bending. You can see it's plastic. It's just bending out the middle. I don't want to scratch it or break it. All right, I need two hands. Let me put the camera down. Actually, I want to do this on camera in case it breaks, because it's so thin, but it feels like it's stuck on the sides, like it's still screwed in, and I assure you it's not. There's nothing in those holes. But you can see that when I twist it, you can see how thin it is, and it's just warping. I don't understand this design. Again, somebody just does not use their own products that they're making. That's all I can tell. It's not Carpuride because they're not manufacturing this. Wow, there we go. That is just a super thick, stupid rubber gasket shoved so far in those ports, and you got nothing to grab onto. So I did damage it a little bit from prying. That sucks. We do have a card in there at least, so I can put it back. Well, now you know you don't have to do this except to put in a decent card. Actually, let me pop it out. Let's see if we can tell what size is in here. Hopefully it's at least the maximum of 64, which is tiny. Oh, are you kidding me? And they used one of these cards without the lips, so there's nothing to grab onto. I am not having a good time with this. There we go. Probably just a no-name card. And we have a no-name 64 gig card. Come on, focus. There we go. So that's what you get. I can barely feel that bump. Definitely not quality. I'll put a link down below, again, to the card that I strongly suggest and what I run in my cameras. And now, finally, first boot up. Let's see what we get. Obviously a very reflective screen, but it's nice and clear, very high res. I dig that. Nice and bright, at least in here. It says the TF card is loading. Again, for those new, TF card is what they call micro SD in China. TF card loaded successfully, and now it's recording. All right, so the rear camera is obviously upside down. Tapping that takes us to the split screen. Oh God, I hope we have I hope we have adjustability for these. Now on the last unit I saw that did this, what it's doing is cropping off the sides of both cameras. And I also need to note that what you're seeing is brighter than what I'm seeing. My phone is exposing for this, but this screen does not look this bright. It looks really good on the video, I know, but it is on the dim side. I'm gonna see if we've got any brightness controls. But what it's doing is cropping the sides of both cameras for this split screen view. So hopefully we can go to full screen somehow, please. On the last unit, there were hard buttons, and luckily a commenter after I published the video said you have to long press one of the arrows to switch to the full screen views, but this doesn't have any hard buttons. What's this? That's to get into CarPlay. That's not what I want. Okay, brightness at least. Good. Oh, well, we're in auto. Okay, that's fine. If it's putting it at medium on auto, totally fine. That means when we're out in the sun, it's going to get a lot brighter. That gives me hope. I'll connect my phone here in a moment. I just want to go through these basic settings. Can I get to, that's record audio or not, that's to go home. That's to take a snapshot, that's to lock the clip, and this is start and stop recording. Actually, I don't need to record this while I'm sitting here. But yeah, you need to be able to switch these. This does nobody any good. Seeing a cropped split screen, who cares? No one wants to see that. Full screen or nothing. Audio, what do we got here? Oh, okay, Bluetooth pairing. You can pair directly to your comms or phone if for some reason you don't want to go through CarPlay, or Bluetooth speakers on your bike. CarPlay, I'll do that in a second, and I'll be testing its speed. Wi-Fi video, that's going to be, well, I was going to say playback, but those are usually describing the same thing. What the heck is switch to Wi-Fi video mode? Okay, this might kick off the camera, I'm not sure. Okay, so that's just, oh, that's to connect to the app. That's what they're calling Wi-Fi video. Okay, that's fine. And that's for pulling files off the device, and then playback is playing back on this screen. Got it. So just odd terms, that's all. No big deal there. I love seeing the battery voltage. We haven't seen that in too many units. Settings, what do we got? Brightness, stick it on auto for now. Assistive touch gives you a bigger area. I so far have, I was gonna say I haven't needed it, but they've been off on other models coming out of the box. I'll leave it on, see what they want us to use. It just helps your glove touch sensitivity, but again, I haven't had any type of issues. What's touch mode? Normal and rain water. Maybe water has an effect on the screen, I'm not sure. But if you have an issue, I guess you can turn that on and see. Camera, okay, camera format. I was gonna say it's either resolution or format the card. What is N and P? I have no idea. I'm gonna have to Google that, but 1080p is what you typically do. I'll stick it on 1080p for now. P and N, it kind of sounds familiar, but I have no idea. Split time, that's going to be loop recording, how long your segments want to be. Large, please. Yes or no if you want to record audio, or flip the rear camera. Standard dash cam fare there. What's under system? Language. Usually English is at the top. Date and time. I'm not going to bother setting it, but you can go 12 or 24 hour. This one, unlike the last one, actually switches your selections, not just what's on screen. I like that. I want 12 hour though. Storage info. Just gives you how much free space on the card. Formatting it, factory reset the whole thing, and then check your firmware version. And that's it for settings. All right, whoa, look at that. So 1080p seems to be incorrect. We'll put it back on 1080n, even though I have no idea what the heck it means. But P doesn't work. And yeah, unfortunately, it looks like no way, unless we long press on the screen, to get a full screen, front or rear. Oh, what's that? Swipe? Swipe. Ah, swipe. Love it. So you can swipe left. How about right? And right. Okay, there we go. So there's the front. Wow. I almost got that purely out of luck. It's almost rotated correctly. And there's the rear. Okay, love it. Now I'm going to leave it on front, and I'll power it off, do my CarPlay, and come back in. I want to see if it holds the setting or if it auto defaults every time you turn it on to the split screen view. Stand by. Okay, CarPlay is connected. Before I do anything here, this is the icon it adds to go back home, and this dot here is a quick menu. Let's see what we have. Home, Bluetooth again for some reason. That's usually a photo setting, and brightness. Brightness slider, standard one there, love that. That's about the most common thing you're ever gonna use in a quick setting. Okay, that's dash cams, that's good. So it does not hold that, but at least you can swipe very quickly to get to there. And how do you go back home? Home, 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 right here. All right, so CarPlay. We do have our 5 icons across, nice widescreen format. That seems fine. Let's check music population. Swipe. Let's see how long this takes to come in. That's fast. That's fast. Absolutely no problem there. So that makes me very happy. And let's check out navigation, Apple Maps. Now I'm inside the garage right now, and the GPS is from my phone. It does not have built-in GPS, so it's going to depend on your phone's signal to satellites. Let's try moving around. Yeah, that's no problem at all. Let's see if it has 2-finger support for zoom. No. But we should have a plus and minus here. That's actually speedy. No problem with that whatsoever. All right, that's a little, maybe it's just my finger, but it was making me be very precise there for a second. But yeah, no problem there with the speed of the processor. So good job there, Carpuride. All right, that looks good. Now let's take it out on the road, check out the dash cam footage day and night, and we'll check this for overheating in direct sun. Now talking about the app, and yes, this one has sort of an app. First of all, let me tell you the basics about these kinds of devices. Pretty much every one you're gonna buy, from whatever brand you find out there, they are not manufacturing the hardware nor the software. They're buying them from the actual Chinese OEM that don't sell direct to consumers to spec. So they'll tell them, I want it with this feature, not that feature, yada, yada, yada. They print their name on it, they give it a part number, a price, marketing, and they sell it. Same with the software. They can put their logo on it, they can change the splash screen, they can customize a little bit about the features. Now, most of them use a very common app. I believe it's called Vidure, I think that's how you pronounce it. And it's used across tons of different brands because, like I said, the brands are buying these from a common manufacturer. So the app is basically used for 2 things. It does give us one feature that so far I haven't seen on the display itself, and unfortunately, because it's in the app, it makes it useless. I will in a second go through this from head to toe and try to find if it is in here. That's turning the screen off. Very important to me and a lot of other people. In the app, I found excuse me, a setting called screensaver, and after the last interaction, after 10, 30 seconds, or 1 minute, it will turn the screen off. Now that's great if you're listening to music and stuff like that and you don't want the screen bothering you, but if you're navigating, you sure as heck don't want the screen turning off. So switching that setting means, as far as I know right now, it's only in the app, and here's why it's useless. Because it's not easy to connect via the app to the device. First of all, you have to, in your phone, turn off CarPlay or turn off Android Auto, because unfortunately this is a very basic app and it doesn't handle things automatically for you. So you have to do that manually. Then you have to go into Wi-Fi download which puts it into this screen, which means it's ready to connect. Then you launch the app. Then you go into your Wi-Fi settings on your phone, find this device and connect to its Wi-Fi. Then your app, you can connect to the device in the app, and it will see any files that you have saved and give you that settings option. And there are some duplicated settings in there also about the device, just basic stuff, but it's also on the normal settings screen, so that's irrelevant. Now, at first I was really excited because I've used this app before, not this particular version, got updated since the last time I used it, but it has a select all. Great! Select all, download your files, and off it goes. It does keep your phone alive, so you don't have to worry about turning the display off. It's pretty quick. A full 5-minute clip is just under 400 megs, and I was getting it downloaded in just under a minute and a half, so no complaints about the speed. Unfortunately, every 15 minutes or so, the unit itself turns off its Wi-Fi, which kills your connection, kills whatever you were downloading, and you got to start all over again. Now, it does save what you've downloaded to that point in the app's album, so you still have to go back and figure out, well, where did I leave off? And that's just a big long string of file names. You can't really tell anything about, hey, it left off on 8 of 34 or whatever like that. So major pain in the butt for downloading anything more than a couple clips. So good for a couple clips, an emergency, you saw an accident, whatever. Fine for doing that, but not for dumping a card. If you have to dump a whole bunch of stuff or you don't know what you're looking for, you're going to be pulling the card out and putting it in a computer, unfortunately.
Okay, time for the daytime test. We're going to go out, test the dash cam quality. We're going to test for overheating and screen dimming. I'm going to stay out for at least 10-15 minutes here, get this thing cooking. We're in the low 90s, another bright and sunny Florida day. Cameras look really good on the screen, but I've learned that you have to get the footage into a computer to really know what it's going to look like. I upload all of these in extreme quality to YouTube. So what you're seeing is what the file has to give. Going through here, we've got dark shadows into the tree lines, bright blown out clouds in the sky. We're looking for pixelation and details in the asphalt. This is the absolute torture test for any kind of dash cam. All this detail coming through these streets maxes out the bandwidth of any system and YouTube. But it's a good comparison. You can go back and check my other reviews to compare the actual footage. And of course, we've got the rear camera. Sometimes you've got equal quality front and rear, and they split the processing power on the unit. Sometimes they divert and you get better quality from the front than the rear. And very occasionally you get really bad quality from the rear, especially at night. Few and far between. Most that I've reviewed in the last few years, both car and motorcycle, have had perfectly acceptable quality no matter what. Now I've got the screen on auto brightness, same as the out-of-the-box settings, and it was defaulting when I took off to about 50%, so plenty of room left for adjustment here during the day. Got the sun on my back here, now it's directly on the unit, and by now every unit that has had dimming has already had it occur, and everything looks normal here. I'll continue to buzz up and down here and see what happens in a few minutes. Turtle crossing the road, luckily a good neighbor helping it. Alright, I'm gonna have to check in editing. I don't think it's dimming. I think it's just going in and out of clouds and the different road surfaces and everything. Plus I have a dark shield on. Let me raise that. Yeah, I think it's the same. I don't think it's dimming at all. If it is, it's not noticeable. It still looks absolutely perfect. So that's good. Now it's actually getting pretty dark, just as I'm looking at it. So it does have a dimming and overheating issue. However, it is pretty delayed compared to others. But yes, it's still there. Let me pull over and check real quick. I just want to see what it set the brightness to. Let's see, I want that brightness. Where was the brightness menu in here? I can't remember. So it's limiting the max brightness from the heat. So I can't even turn it up. It's just pulling it down as it heats up. Okay, well, good to know. That's how it works. All right, so at night we are just looking for camera quality. The auto brightness is working absolutely perfectly as expected. Beautiful picture on the screen. No need to touch that at all. We're gonna buzz through these dark areas here. We're gonna go through a brightly lit parking lot and then run out really quickly on the road and just see how license plates look and things like that. Sometimes I see the details like plates are unfortunately completely blown out on these at night, so you never know until you pull the footage, unfortunately. Now I'm looking at the split screen here, and I can tell this one is definitely a little grainier on the rear. However, that could just be the fact that the headlights are in the front, so it might just be exposing differently. The telltale will be in the brightly lit parking lot, and that way we have even coverage front and rear. That's why I go through there. And also looking on the screen, it's showing really nice exposure, and you can see a little bit of a sunset there. What are you doing, dude? Jesus, nice signal. But to my naked eye, it's actually a little darker out than the video looks, so it's giving more detail in the video, which isn't a bad thing, of course. And if you're noticing the, oh, whoa, look at that, the lights are out. We've had some power issues in the neighborhood past couple days, so I guess this test won't work very well. I'll go through McDonald's. Huh, didn't expect that. Okay, so this is a good test right here of the front and back detail. Yeah, definitely grainier on the back, just looking at the sky alone. So this is an example of a unit that is processing more for the front camera, which is typical. I would prefer to have them even, but if it means the front is going to be substandard, if you don't do that, then I'm all for giving the front whatever it needs in the CPU. Of course, a better option is use a faster CPU. All right, let's find a car here to get behind. All right, so I'm about 3 car lengths away, and this is when I can easily read it with my eyes. Here's 2 and 1. So I'm gonna go home, wrap this up, and when I'm almost through editing, I will give you my closing thoughts.
All right, so I'm wrapping up the editing, like I said, and just to go over that process, the files are the typical used in virtually every dash cam out there, with the exception of Garmin, .ts format that you are required to reformat to be able to edit. You can copy them, you can send them, you can play them on just about anything, but you can't edit until you can convert them. So no big surprises there. And I'm impressed with the front video quality. The rear is perfectly acceptable as well. So I hope this helps. With the exceptions of the missing hardware, I'm sure that that was just a fluke with my particular unit. The horrible, unforgivable camera mounts that everybody's going to have a problem with until they fix that design. I think it's a great unit. So if it fits your needs, check it out. I'll put a link down below with any discount code I can find for you guys. And stay tuned, I've got even more coming. See you next.